Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
A few people joining in. So, all right, Alvin, we're gonna start based on what we'll have to do. All right, so I hope you're all good. Or if you're not all that, hope you're getting there. All right, so as projected on screen today, there are a few things I want to walk you through. Today is our last class for discussion per se. We may have meetings outside of this formal setting, but today is our last class for this course, last official class for this course. And as we start the conversation, probably about 3 weeks ago on mixed methods, there are some things I wanted to point you to. I had promised that, well, I'd asked you to get the software, but I realized that that fell through. And so what I'm going to do is to actually show you where to find the video and also play the video. I actually had thought about doing an actual demo, but it probably may be not so efficient. And so I said a video may be more efficient because it will bring you right through in a very succinct way what you need to do, right? I have spoken to Olivine though, because I'm committed to helping you guys through your journey when you get to the point of doing your practicum, for example. And it really don't matter where I'm at physically, I'll still be committing to helping you, right? So both with QDA minor as well as SPSS, one of the things I will tell you though is, and this is a mistake that a lot of students make, is that they wait until the 9th hour and then they run into me, sir, kind of thing, when they've started everything and done everything incorrectly. So don't make that mistake. It is better to reach out to me up front so I can actually help you to plan and think through what you're going to do. If you wait till the last minute, it's really going to be damage control, and some of the instances the damage cannot be undone. So just note that, all right? So for today, I'm going to share a video on QDA minor. I'm going to have us reflect on and review our course from September to now. And one of the things I want us to reflect on as we go through that journey is, how are you going to use this knowledge that you've gained to further the discipline of human resources, right? I'm gonna have us go through some mixed methods, multiple choice questions, and then I'm gonna talk about what to expect on the exam. I'm gonna open the floor for questions for your group project. And as a means of reminder, please remember to go to SharePoint and search and also pull down materials, not SharePoint, RVLE, and pull down materials that are relevant to you. As Olivine would have pointed out in another email, or in an email, the materials don't stay on RVLE, right? So when a course ends, the course containers, the course bins usually are cleared for a next semester, right?
The container will be closed before the exam. The exam section has said that we have to do that.
Right.
So this is the last week that you have to download whatever you need to download.
Right. But in addition to that, I know the course containers, the course bins usually get closed. And it may just very much be because of the instruction from the exam section. So please go there. If you haven't been going there to pull down stuff, I know you have been going there, but if you haven't been going there to take down stuff, please use this opportunity, right? So.
Sorry, one other thing. It was something one of the other lecturers pointed out. We've uploaded videos, the recordings of all of these classes that we've had. The classes are private. It's unlisted in the HRD TV, meaning that it is only the people in this class who have access to it. So we're asking you not to download the videos and share them, because these videos are, you know, private conversations. People speak, they get the answer wrong, their names are on the video, all that sort of thing. So the video is to be kept only for people in this class. So if you are going to download a video from one of the links, just keep it for yourself and destroy it after the exam. But don't put it somewhere where other people outside of this little group of persons can have access to it.
Yeah. Okay.
Please.
Yeah, I sure understood that. I understand exactly about that, Olivia, because yeah, you know my thoughts already. Yeah. All right. So in terms of QDA Miner, so QDA Miner is a software that was developed by a company called Provalis. The founder, Norman's last name, no, but whichever way. So it is meant to be
Pelado,
right? A mixed methods software. So it actually accepts qualitative type data, which could mean text, images, and other type. And it actually can, some of the data can be converted to quantitative data. So in the same way that you interface with another package to help you to do things like certain statistics, you know, descriptive statistics, it actually helps you to do it. But also, you know, other things like word map and all of those things. So yeah, so it is one of the mixed methods software that is out there. In fact, I think it was Levine, it was a part of our intervention why this software actually came to.
It was directly the intervention, yeah, directly.
Yeah, to the University of the West Indies, and the people continue to have, you know, the advantage of it because we sought to push mixed methods in the university. Right? So here is what, let me see if I can go back to my other screen. Here is what the software looks like. If I can now find it. I'm trying to find my videos. Okay.
QDA Miner is an easy-to-use, computer-assisted qualitative coding package for manually coding or tagging and...
Are you hearing it? Are you seeing it?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great.
Yes, sir.
Annotating text and images, and retrieving and analyzing the coded segments. This mixed methods qualitative data analysis tool can be used to analyze interview or focus group transcripts, legal documents, journal articles, speeches, and even entire books, as well as maps, drawings, photographs, paintings, and other types of visual documents. QDA Miner allows you to import data in a number of formats. Document formats include text, doc, docx, Word, PowerPoint, ebooks, and PDF, as well as graphic file formats, BMP, JPEG, GIF, and PNG. You can also import data files: Excel, CSV, TSV, and Microsoft Access. QDA Miner allows you to import directly from statistical software packages, survey platforms, social media, Twitter, Facebook, and RSS feeds, other qualitative software, reference managers, and a number of email platforms. You can also import from other databases using an ODBC data connection. Structured documents such as LexisNexis and Factiva can be imported and variables automatically extracted using the document conversion wizard. QDA Miner can handle large collections of documents and images. Each document can be associated with alphanumeric string, categorical, numerical, and date and time variables, mixing both qualitative and quantitative data. A QDA Miner codebook consists of user-defined codes and categories. There are many easy ways to code a document.
Right, so I'm going to just pause here for a little bit for you just to look at what this interface looks like, because this is the kind of main, what I call the main interface of QDA Miner when things are populated. So for example, you see the different cases in the top left-hand corner. So you'll see Bradley, Bush, Forbes, Gore, McCain, right? And those are cases, right? And here you will see information about the cases, the variables. So you will see, for example, the name, the party to which the person belongs, the city, kind of thing. And you can actually put whatever in it. So like in my data set, I was actually able to put the name of the participant, the subject the person studied or teaches, the school, the age group, whatever it is you want to actually put there. You can build your variables and also put data in it. And then as this section indicates, it is where the codes are. So this section that says codes, topics, economics and stuff, these are where the codes are. This portion in the middle here, it is the text. So for example, if you think about a transcript, an interview transcript, this would be all of that, you know, nice fluff. And then to the right hand side, whoa. Something just went wrong. Hold on, let me just go back.
Code marks in the document margin indicate the location of a code. Codings can overlap, and comments can be attached to a code mark.
Hold on. Let me just expand this for you guys. Okay, so as I was saying, if you look in the on the right hand side, you'll actually see the codes being applied there, right?
QDA Miner offers various tools that vastly speed up the coding process. The text retrieval function can search all documents for specific words or key phrases and extract sentences, paragraphs, or documents matching the Boolean search expression. Results are displayed in a table format and a code can easily be assigned to one or all retrieved segments. The keyword retrieval tool can retrieve text containing keywords associated with a QDA minor code. This is similar to a predefined search that is stored within your codebook. It may also be used to perform a search based on a WordStat content analysis dictionary. Section retrieval is great for retrieving and coding sections in structured documents, such as interview or focus group transcripts, as well as structured reports. The Query by Example tool uses machine learning to retrieve text segments similar to a given example, or those associated with a specific code. You may even search for text segments similar to coded segments stored in another project. The unique cluster extraction tool allows you to...
Any questions so far?
It look confusing.
What about it is confusing?
So, sir, so you have to sit and or you have to create code to tell it to so if you do an interview, for instance, right? You'll have to tell it to search a particular words to pull over the data.
No.
If you transcribe an interview, that's what you're saying?
No. All right. So take, for example, you have a data set, or you have a whole set of interview transcripts, and you're searching, for example, for emotions, and you want to code every emotion so you want to find all the instances where the word anger appears in the document, right? Just like in Microsoft Word, where you can do a find, right? And it finds all the examples or instances for you with the exact word anger, right? It will find it for you, and you can do one click and code everything in the document that has the word anger. Or you can search for words that have the word anger in it, right? And the software also finds it for you and applies one code. So it's an easier way of coding rather than going through. So take, for example, if it's a transcript with 20 pages, rather than eyeballing each page, each paragraph, each line to find that word that you're looking for, you do a search and it pretty much finds all instances of that word for you, and you can actually apply one code, right? So it's a more efficient way of coding. Let me just say something, Marsha, because I thought it was what you're going to say. So let me say, a lot of people think that qualitative research is easy. It is not, because what it means is that the software actually facilitates you managing the data. Qualitative research requires you, and I'll need you guys to listen this for the purpose of your practicum. It requires you sitting down, reading through the transcripts, but first understanding what you're researching, and in understanding what you're researching, develop codes or possible codes that you will then look for in the data or in the transcript, right? And assign the codes. So what I'm saying is that it's just not going to magically happen. You have to know what you're looking for. And when you find it, you must know that you found it, or you found something close enough to it to be able to assign that code to it. A lot of people think that a software like this can just voila, and it does it for you. No, what it does, it actually helps you to manage the data, right? So it is what this process is actually saying, that it is helping us to manage the data. But you're going to have to sit down and read through and code the data. So if both of us have the same transcript, and based on the lens that we're looking at the transcript through, we could be seeing different things coming out of the transcript, right? And that's important. So you need to know what it is that you're looking for in the transcript, how it is that you want to code the transcript for it to eventually, or for whatever has been captured to eventually make meaning to you. That's important.
Okay, so sir, if you do an interview and you have a recording, will the software and you, for example, does the software allow you to upload the recording and it transcribes it for you, or you have to manually do it?
So this one is not a transcription software, right? There are other software that actually help you with transcription. So off the top of my head, one of them that comes to mind is Oteri, and another one is Temi, and there are several others. I find
Loom is good too.
Yeah, I find Oteri to be very good. Temi, yeah, but Temi can also give you bad words and swear words and stuff in it, and all sorts of explicit words and stuff that you didn't say in the interview. All because
with Loom, it slows it down to whatever speed you can type at, which is very, very useful. So you don't have to be going back and listening again and that sort of thing. It can go very, very slowly, however you type.
Yeah, Oteri I find does that too, and Temi does that too.
Temi or Teni?
Temi.
Temi. Oh.
Temi. So T-E-M-I. There's a little edge for me over with Oteri over Temi in terms of the accuracy. So all of these are systems that are being trained, and so the more data in it, they're being trained. So even, for example, I found people speak Patois, and the system doesn't understand Patois because it's not trained that way, and so it comes up with all sorts of garble, right?
How do you spell Oteri?
So O-T-T-E-R-I. Yeah. So I've found that if the more standard the English the person speaks is the better the translation. But for both of them, and I don't know for the one you just mentioned, Olivier, but for the ones I've used though, you have to still go back through and listen and kind of tidy things up. So it's a part of the cleaning process, because the thing about it, when you're doing a transcription, every single word counts. Even the cues in terms of the pauses and stuff, they do count. The pitch of the person's voice, it does matter and stuff. So when I'm coding, for example, I don't just code the words, but I code the pauses if somebody laughs. And so it also is important when you see the thing face to face, because if somebody smiles, you can indicate that the person is smiling versus the person is laughing versus the person made a frown kind of thing, and then you can clarify. Yeah. So to answer the question, this is not a transcription software. It is really for managing and helping with coding.
Quickly identify similar paragraphs or sentences in a large collection of documents. This feature is useful for coding responses to open-ended questions.
Let me just say something again. So these things you see on the left-hand side here are what are known as codes. So these, and you can have a priori codes or you can have emergent codes. And the a priori codes, for example, are codes that would be determined from the literature, for example, right? So if you are studying, say, recruitment, you may recognize that there are some things that you're looking for in recruitment that are standard in the literature, and you can code those to say, okay, I'm gonna look to hear if, for example, the persons who I'm interviewing use these words or these terms. So those are terms that are known beforehand, which are a priori, and some will actually emerge as you go through the process of doing the interview, or people say things during the interview. So these are the codes, and you're using these codes to look through the transcript to find what may imply, or what is said that would imply that particular word, for example. Oftentimes, or sometimes, it is a word. Or it is an exact expression. I don't always, when I'm coding, I don't always like to use a word, for example, but I use a particular phrase, right? But if you've read Saldana, you would actually see that there are different types and styles and ways of coding your data. So you can use what is known as an in vivo code, which means the exact word that was said or the exact phrase that was said, versus looking at chunks of the data and assigning a word or a string of words to that chunk of data. The different ways of coding too. So you could go line by line to code. You could code a whole chunk of data, a whole paragraph of data, or you could code by sentences. Just note that the whole process of coding is really just reading through the transcript, reading through the qualitative data, and trying to make some meaning of it.
Tweets or short comments, as it can speed up the coding process significantly. Once coding is complete, using coding retrieval, QDA Miner can retrieve all text segments associated with specific codes. You can retrieve segments associated with multiple codes. You can also create complex search expressions and retrieve segments that overlap or that are inside or near other codes. Segments can be displayed in a table and a text format, and can be easily exported to disk or printed. QDA Miner can perform numerous analyses on your coding. Let's start with a simple coding frequency. You can chart frequencies at the click of a button. And with all QDA Miner charts, you can easily drill down to the coded segments. QDA Miner also allows you to examine the co-occurrence of...
So in my research, this is one of the things I did. So, and as it's seen here, there are different ways of presenting the data, right? So I didn't necessarily use bar charts, but I use tables. And so what I've actually done is to quantize the qualitative data that was obtained. So I use tables like these to look at the number of instances when a particular word was used. So my study was on emotion. So I look, for example, at the number of instances where the word anger, for example, would have been used by a teacher, and the number of instances when the word anger would be used by a group of teachers in a particular school, and to see, you know, for example, which school had the occurrence of those of different emotions, right?
Chart frequencies at the click of a button. And with all QDA Miner charts, you can easily drill down to the coded segments. QDA Miner also allows you to examine the co-occurrence of codes. The dendrogram shows clusters of codes that tend to appear near each other. You can easily retrieve the text segments associated with any cluster. Multidimensional scaling plots graphically represent the proximity of codes. The link analysis allows you to visualize the connections between codes using a network graph. You can also easily retrieve the corresponding text segments. Proximity plots are useful to examine codes that are associated with a specific code. Co-occurrence or similarity matrices may be exported to disk in a standard format, such as Excel or CSV.
So if you remember when we did correlation, so this is a form of correlation, right? But using the instances of the codes that were developed. So if you run a correlation matrix, this is a similar kind of thing that you will actually see in statistics. So what we're actually doing here is quantitizing the qualitative data.
As well as to social network analysis programs. The same tools may be used to analyze the similarity of cases, allowing you to perform segmentation by identifying people with similar ideas. QDA Miner also allows you to look at specific code sequences. You can easily retrieve the associated text segments. The Coding by Variables command allows you to examine the relationship between codes and numerical and categorical variables. It's simple to retrieve specific coded segments from charts. Another way to display data graphically is to use customizable bubble charts that are particularly useful for presentation purposes. Heat maps are useful visualization techniques representing frequencies using brightness or shade of color. Columns and rows can be clustered, allowing you to identify relationships between codes and subgroups of individuals. Coded segments can be easily retrieved. Correspondence analysis provides a very powerful way to identify relationships between codes and variables. QDA Miner also offers ways to visualize the spatial distribution of codings with its own mapping module, allowing you to create maps with data points, thematic maps, and heat maps. You can also associate date and time information to coded segments and create interactive timelines. QDA Miner facilitates teamwork as it allows you to create user accounts with varying permissions, duplicate and distribute projects to various coders, and then merge the projects back into one single project. After you've merged your projects, you can use the intercoder reliability function to assess the reliability of coding on 4 different levels of agreement. You can also apply various statistical corrections for chance agreement. Getting your data out of QDA Miner is simple.
So let me just point out something. So if you have, as I've asked you to, if you've gone through your checklist done by FETAs, you'll also see FETAs asking you to look, for example, if you see matrices, tables, visual structures and stuff. And so examples of these images from this software, for example, is what he's asking you to look for. So it is somewhat expected that somebody who writes a mixed methods article, for example, will have some charts, some visuals, and some of it could also be, presenting the data that was actually analyzed through a means like this or through a software like this. Not in its exact form as you see all of them there, but what is expected is that the person who writes the article, for example, will use the opportunity or seize the opportunity to show that he or she would have used a mixed methods tool as well. right?
You can export the entire project file, coded statistics for further analysis, coded segments, as well as documents in their entirety into separate files. With the Report Manager, you can store, edit, and organize documents, notes, quotes, tables of results, graphics, and images created by QDA Miner or imported from other applications. One of the unique features of QDA Miner is its seamless integration with WordStat, a powerful content analysis and text mining tool, and SimStat, a statistical analysis package. Both can be accessed directly from QDA Miner. In this video, we've only shown you some of the features of QDA Miner. Please download a trial version from our website to discover its complete capabilities.
Sir,
That's in a nutshell what QDA Miner is. Yeah.
I was going to ask you if this,
Right,
this
okay.
software.
So thank you for coming. As you know, my name is Philip.
This video, sorry, 1 minute, was it Marsha? This video I think is also a very good one on QDA Miner. Familiarizing yourself with QDA Miner Lite is a long enough one, 45 minutes, but I think this guy does a good job of it as well. So it's one of the things to take note of. Yes, somebody was saying something there.
This software identifies themes or just the coding?
So no, it doesn't identify themes. So what happened is that you would have to go through and code, and as you code along, then the themes will emerge. So it doesn't, well, as I just indicated, the process of coding is really yours to do, right? It really just facilitates the management of the data. That is really what it does. It facilitates data management for you, right? So you will have to determine what are the themes that have emerged from the data set that you're picking up, right? It helps you with the coding, so to assign codes, but you will have to know what the codes are. For example, you'd have to read the transcript through to determine, okay, so this code is linked to this chunk of data, right? As you see, if you link codes to different chunks of data, then what it will do is that it will help you to generate charts and statistics and all of those things and produce heat maps and stuff. But let me answer it another way, because if you noticed earlier, one of the images that actually was displayed there, actually it displayed it in a bigger font, which also helped you to identify that this is something that is major, you know, coming out of the data set. So yes, in a way, yes, it does. It does. So if, for example, a particular code is repeated, you know, more than once, or the occurrence of a particular code is say 20 times, while others are just 5 times, it actually shows you in a bigger font that that code stands out. So based on the number of times, it shows you, you know, the magnitude of the code. Yeah. All right. So a part of our recap, one of the weeks we went through talking about different articles and stuff and discussing mixed methods when we just started, and I showed this video from John Cresswell, and I thought it useful to go back to it because in my estimation, it sums up what mixed methods is different from multi-methods. And just today I was looking back, and though I never mentioned, for example, something called mixed model, but there's something called mixed model as well. So John Cresswell really uses this video to sum up what mixed methods research is. So I also wanted to spend some time to look back and to listen what he actually says mixed methods research is about, right?
Speaking to you from the University of Nebraska at Lincoln in the United States. I am in the Department of Educational Psychology, and I'm going to talk a little bit today about what is mixed methods research. This will just be a short video presentation. I've been working in the field of mixed methods research for almost 25 years. I co-founded the Journal of Mixed Methods Research. We've established a research office here. I've written textbooks on mixed methods research, and I've been teaching it for almost 20 years now. So I'm just going to kind of run through some of the basic ideas of 4 points about what mixed methods research is. Now, hopefully you'll find this informative and educational and learn a little bit about mixed methods research. The thing is, we might start with the broader question of what kind of evidence do we use to study the problems today in the social sciences and education and the health sciences. I think we can draw some clues from looking at recent documentaries. Take, for example, Al Gore's documentary, An Inconvenient Truth. And this is a documentary, of course, about global warming. But when you look at this documentary, it's a mixed methods documentary because Al Gore combines both the stories as well as statistical trends. For example, he shows some pictures of how the glaciers have changed over time and talks about that story of change over the years. And then in the next slide, he's showing us some graphs, some pictures of how these changes have occurred. We can find it also in the sporting world today when we look at the evidence. For example, there's this well-known basketball player in the United States, Shane Battier. He was as a seventh grader, the 4th best in the nation. He graduated from high school. He was considered the best. He went on to a very illustrious college career. Now, when he went into the professional basketball realm and people began looking at his statistics on how he performed, he didn't score many points. He didn't really snag many rebounds. He stole a few balls. He really dished out few assists, but yet his team was winning. But then, when they started bringing in qualitative information, such as looking at how he blocked the opponent's vision, how he looked at whether the players drove left or right, whether he talked to teammates and how he talked to teammates, we get the qualitative evidence that begins to supplement or augment the statistical evidence to have a greater understanding of Shane's potential. We see this too in everyday events that are portrayed in the media, such as the stories about Hurricane Sandy in New York City, where we get the passionate, tragic stories of individuals who've lost property and some have lost lives. And those are then presented alongside the newscasters that show the statistics about Hurricane Sandy and give us the numeric information. So again, we have stories and numbers being portrayed in the media. This leads to mixed methods research, which in the simplest way of thinking about it is just simply putting together the stories of people's lives, as well as the numbers, the statistics of what occurs. It's an emerging mixed methods approach in the social and health sciences. It combines both these statistical trends and the stories. People have developed a complete methodology around this concept. The whole idea is that combining both statistics as well as the stories gives us a more complete understanding of our research problem than just one by itself. So I want to go through now 4 key features that really illustrate to me what mixed methods is all about. First of all, it's collecting and analyzing both qualitative and quantitative data, using rigorous approaches in collecting those methods, combining the 2 forms of data, and then perhaps framing it within a broader framework. And what I'm going to do now is take each one of these 4 points and I'm going to break them down and talk about them specifically. It's helpful, too, at the beginning to think about what mixed methods is not, because there's a lot of commentary out there about what mixed methods is, what it is not. Here are some of my thoughts about what it's not. It's not simply just using the name mixed methods without the more rigorous procedure. In research methodology, people do that. They drop in the terms such as grounded theory, but they really don't have the rigorous procedure behind it. It's more than just having both quantitative and qualitative data available. And it's also more than just gathering both forms of data and analyzing them separately without bringing them together. Also, it's not just gathering multiple forms of qualitative data or multiple forms of quantitative data. There's a term for that in the literature called multi-method research. So now let me go through these 4 points. First of all, what does it mean to collect and analyze both qualitative and quantitative data? We need to view data as part of a larger picture of doing research. It's the type of information we gather and analyze to answer our questions. It's then framed within larger questions and framed within larger philosophical assumptions of doing research. So my focus is going to be on how we treat that data, how we combine it and integrate it in mixed methods research. But we need to recognize it as part of a larger approach to doing research. It's just one step in the process. Now, when you gather quantitative data and qualitative data, there are certain different assumptions that are operating. There are 2 different forms of gathering evidence. Quantitative data is usually predetermined by the researcher. It's based on instruments. We gather those instruments measuring performance, attitudes, observations. We then do statistical analysis and we make an interpretation. Qualitative has a different type of methods going on. It's an emerging methods where we don't necessarily start with a predetermined instrument. We ask very open-ended questions. We often conduct interviews, observations. We look at documents. We might look at email messages. We might listen to sounds. The array of qualitative methods that are collected, data that's collected, is very broad. Then we take that information and we analyze it. I say we analyze text or image data, and we build up a picture of what themes or patterns emerge from talking to people. So I see the methods for quantitative and qualitative being very different and having distinct features. Now both methods have advantages. Take quantitative research, for example. It's really useful for studying large numbers of people across a wide geographic area. It's a very efficient method of data collection. We can start looking at the relationship among concepts or variables. We can even look at whether something causes something, cause and effect. We can control for bias carefully. And people tend to like numbers. But we also know there's a downside to quantitative research. It tends to be impersonal, dry. We really don't hear the words of participants. Often we don't go out to the actual setting where things are occurring. It's largely driven by the researcher. Now, qualitative research has some distinct advantages too. We can hear those detailed voices of people. We can understand their experiences and their actual settings where things are occurring. Your whole idea in qualitative is to build the perspective up from the views of participants, not from the researcher's perspective. So it's more realistic. And people like stories. Some of its limitations, well, it often draws on small samples, so we can't really apply it across a large number of people. It's also highly interpretive, and it also relies on the researcher's interpretation to make sense of these stories that individuals provide. So mixed methods, secondly, is rigorous. Well, what constitutes a rigorous quantitative study and a rigorous qualitative study? We need to attend to different perspectives about design. such as using a design procedure. In quantitative, this would mean an experiment or correlation or survey, whereas in qualitative, it might mean using a design such as an ethnography, a grounded theory, phenomenological study. We also need to attend to how we collect the data from sites, permissions, a systematic or a purposeful sampling, an adequate N or number of people that we study. We need to have multiple forms of data collection. We need to go through a rigorous procedure of analysis of the information, whether it's a statistical analysis, such as descriptive, inferential, using statistical packages, or on the qualitative side, whether it's using a qualitative software package, and then building from the codes to the themes to the larger perspectives. So we need some rigorous methods when we do mixed methods research. That gives it more of a scientific form. Third, and this is maybe one of the most important and one of the most confusing parts of mixed methods research, we need to integrate these two forms of data. We need to bring the qualitative and the quantitative together. Now, there are some designs out there in the mixed methods field that have emerged, and these have developed over maybe the last 20 years. The first one we call a convergent design. Basically, what we're going to do here is we're going to collect quantitative data, analyze it, and at the same time, we're going to collect qualitative data and analyze it. So the quantitative might be a survey. The qualitative might be an open-ended interview with some people. We're going to gather these two databases, and then we're actually going to merge the data, bring it together. And basically, we're going to compare the results to see when we ask people questions and talk to them, as in qualitative, and we gather information on instruments, whether the results from these two databases merge and are comparable. That's a convergent design. The next is an explanatory sequential design. It's a very popular one in the social sciences and health sciences. We're going to start by collecting quantitative data.
No, we're not hearing you. I mean,
Thanks for that. Yeah, so somebody asked me, I think it was last week, about the diagram that is required in the appendices. It is something looking like this that John Cresswell is explaining. So if your approach, if your design is explanatory sequential, then you need the diagram that actually matches that. If it's exploratory, you need to use the diagram that matches that. And if it is a concurrent conversion, a similar diagram that matches concurrent conversion. In the past, the students have actually included such diagram in their appendices. So you should find some examples there. Not that you have to be wedded to theirs. You have, you know, the flexibility to develop yours, right? But just to say, this is the reference that is being made to the diagram, right? Or the diagram that is being referenced or spoken about is something similar to this.
Analyzing it. And then from those results, we're then going to build in a second qualitative phase where we follow up. So the whole idea in this design is to interpret the quantitative results using the qualitative data. Now we can reverse this, and we have an exploratory design where we're going to start not quantitatively, but we're going to start qualitatively. So we start with the qualitative data collection. We explore and come up with findings. We then use those findings to then follow up with the quantitative phase. For example, we might use qualitative findings to develop a new instrument because there aren't existing instruments out there to measure a certain phenomenon with a population. So this is a good design for that. So I call it qualitative exploration, then leading to a quantitative test. Now, there's one more step. We can move beyond these three basic designs to more what we call advanced designs. So within a basic design, we can add to it. Think about a basic design, and we're then going to surround it with a more advanced design. We're going to put some more features into it. For example, we might do an experiment within which a convergent design is used. We might do a case study. We might use a theoretical model, a social change model, for example, or we might use a social science theory model. One of the popular approaches here is to do an experiment, and within that, to use a convergent basic design where we gather both quantitative and qualitative data and bring them together. Another one would be to use a social science theory that surrounds an explanatory sequential design. So the theory that kind of guides the entire study, it provides a framework for which we then start quantitatively and follow up qualitatively. Another popular one that's emerging is a community-based participatory research. That's a framework for engaging the community and getting them involved in decisions throughout the research process. We might use that in an exploratory sequential design. So those are four of the basic ideas of what mixed methods research is. It's collecting.
So you noted that community participatory, that research that he spoke about earlier. If you remember that matrix that I kept showing you, so you have, in terms of worldview, you have post-positivism, you have constructivism, you have that participatory, and then you have pragmatism. That participatory that you always see in the matrix, that is actually the worldview that those persons who are doing the community-based participatory research would actually use. So in that type of research, what happens is that they can start qualitatively and go quantitatively, or vice versa. What's important though is that as it says, participatory action research, the participants are involved in the research process as well. So it's more, the lens is more of a political agenda, more, what would I say? It is more leaning towards developing policy, advocacy kind of thing, right?
And analyzing qualitative and quantitative data, using rigorous procedures, combining or integrating both forms of data, and then often framing these designs within a larger perspective, such as an experiment, a theory, or a community participatory research approach. Thanks for your time. We look forward to hearing more about mixed methods from you in the future.
Okay, so that's should pretty much give us a reminder of what we covered in this section of the course on mixed methods research, right? As part of your review process, I wanted to still, and I sent an email to ask Alvin to ask you guys to ensure that you continue to read, because that is still relevant. And if we look down our course outline, we can be reminded, or should be reminded, that at the beginning of the course, we started off by looking at some key terms, some key concepts in research. So we spoke about things like concept and constructs, and I remember sending you some videos and all of those things about those things. We also spoke about the whole thing of ethical considerations in research. Those are going to become very useful for you in writing your project, but going forward, you always have to think about what are the ethical considerations that, you know, must be borne in mind when you are undertaking a piece of research or writing a research proposal. Very important, right? The importance of a literature review Yes, and we stressed, we emphasized how important literature review is. In fact, for your proposal, I keep saying to people that an easier way to understand or to get insights into what you can do is to go to the literature itself, right? And so in that stead, we also spoke about the use of things like referencing and in-text citation. Those things become very useful, right? So if you remember, one of the weeks, or actually 2 times, we looked at a video from Jessica from Scuba, who actually gave us some updates on what the 7th edition of the American Psychological Association citation style is asking us to do. You will continue to explore what those citation styles are, what those requirements are, both for your project as well as for your examination and beyond, right? So take note of those. Beyond those 2 weeks, we spent some time looking, and by the way, somebody asked me about, sent me a message to ask me about writing a literature review versus a literature matrix for the purpose of your project. You are not writing a literature review, you are preparing a literature matrix. You ought to complete that matrix that I've given you in the project and not write a literature review. So in order to get to a literature review, you must do the literature matrix. So I've kind of eased the burden off you and not allow you to write a literature review. Rather, I've asked you to write a literature matrix. Please look in the projects to also see how the others have actually prepared their matrix. A big clue is that you need to use journal articles. If you don't use journal articles, it's going to make your life a lot more harder, right? And a useful strategy is that once you found a journal article of relevance, look in the reference page, and that journal article will also help you to find similar articles of interest. So that's an easier way. And once you find one article, it will send you to another, and another will send you to another, and so that will actually allow you to find at least the 5 pieces that you need for your research proposal, right? So in module 2, we moved on to talk about quantitative research, which is looking at things through the post-positivist worldview or lens. And we spoke to the fact that even when looking at a post-positivist lens, there are 5 philosophical assumptions, namely the ontology, the epistemology, the rhetoric, the axiology, and also the methodology that is involved, right? We also looked at or explored different research designs, quantitative research designs, which meant that we spoke about things like descriptive research, correlational research, which could also be broken down into predictions, hypothesizing, and we also spoke about causal comparative research. So for example, when we're looking at what's the difference between one variable and another, or one group and another, so independent and dependent variables. And we also said for descriptive research, the focus is pretty much on one variable, while if we're looking at correlational or causal comparative, it has to be at least 2 or more variables. So an independent variable and dependent variables are usually involved, right? We also spoke about and did examples or went through examples of how to frame your research problem statement or your statement of issue. And so if you remember, I'd pointed you to the fact that in your research problem statement or statement of issue, you need to have that ideal statement, that statement of reality, and also the consequence. And having crafted that research problem statement or statement of issue, you will be in a better place or in a good place to frame your purpose statement. Your purpose statement in a quantitative research should actually identify the variables, i.e. the independent and dependent variables. It should also highlight for your readers as well as for yourself the research participants and the geographic location or research site. So those are the three major things you want to find in your purpose statement. Out of the purpose statement, or the purpose statement lends itself to the research questions. So if you know what the purpose of the research is, then you're in a better place to frame the research questions. Again, the research questions will actually be focused on at least those three areas that I mentioned earlier. So the research variables, or the variables at play, the research participant, and the geographic location. We also spend some time talking about sampling techniques, and we'll also talk about things like strategies. So we also spoke about population. What's the difference between population, the sample frame, and we also identify that there are different sampling strategies, i.e. stratified, random sampling, etc. Right? We also spend some time looking through how to design a quantitative research instrument. And so we also identified variables that are important. And so we looked at levels of measurement, for example, nominal, ordinal, interval, and ratio level of measurement as useful components to developing our quantitative research instrument. We also spent some time looking at research questions, examples of quantitative research questions, and how they can be aligned with the different designs that we identified earlier. So examples of descriptive research questions, examples of correlational research questions, and examples of causal comparative, more comparative research questions. And from those discussions, we also spoke about how to analyze quantitative research data. So if you also remembered, one of the weeks I went through showing you, for example, how it is that you can use SPSS to do your data analysis. I subsequently last week followed up with another round of analysis where I showed you, for example, how you can identify things like crosstabs, do descriptive research, do correlations, and also find differences, as well as to check your instrument for things like reliability, so finding Cronbach's alpha, right? So we spent 3 weeks talking about quantitative research, and that was really to prep you for understanding mixed methods research. So as we also I highlighted at the beginning, mixed methods research is really looking at an integration of both quantitative research and qualitative research in the same research or the same study. In module 3, we switched gears and we started talking about qualitative research, and we also identified that for qualitative research, so we also spoke about the process that we need to be guided by. And one of the things we said, for example, in a quantitative research is that it's rather linear in terms of process, as opposed to qualitative research, where there's an element of qualitative research that is very much cyclical and recursive, and it goes through a loop until there is a sense of saturation that takes place there. So if you also remember our conversation, we spoke about research problem, developing research problem or a statement of issue. And a part of that conversation, we spoke about the fact that a research could be born out of something that is unknown or is worth further understanding or exploration, right? Or it may be something that is already done, but it needs further work, right? So oftentimes you would have to go back to your literature review, and the review of the literature is really looking at what has already done, what is known, and what is not yet known, right? But ultimately, we go researching because there is a problem, or there's something to be fixed, there's something to be solved, or there's something unknown that we need to know, right? Again, it doesn't have to be at the level of a problem. It could be an issue that is brewing, that is arising, or something that is on the horizon that we need to start thinking about, right? The research problem lends itself in a very nice way to developing or framing a research purpose statement. So that research purpose statement ideally should also have 3 elements that anybody who's looking at assessing, evaluating, appraising a purpose statement will look for. And that is the phenomenon at play, the research participants, and the geographic location or the research site. Having developed that purpose statement, it then allows you to strengthen the research questions that you are intending to answer in that research study. Now, if you also recall, I'd said that there is a difference with the research questions and the interview questions, for example, which reminds me to say that we also spoke about or made a distinction between methodology, research methodology, and research method. So we highlighted that quantitative, qualitative, and mixed methods are considered research methodologies for the purpose of this conversation, and research methods, if we're talking about qualitative research or methods of data collection, would be things like interviews, focus group, document analysis, video analysis, photo voice, things like those, right? Which are methods of data collection, right? We also spoke about different types of instruments that can be used. So if we're talking about focus groups, for example, it could be a focus group guide. If we're talking about interviews, it could be an interview guide or an interview protocol. If we're talking about, say, an observation, it's an observation guide, an observation checklist, for example, right? We also look at the designs that are linked with qualitative research. And so we spend some time going through things like ethnography, grounded theory, case study, narratives, and phenomenology. And we also identified associated or accompanying research questions that could be linked to those research designs, right? There was 1 week that I also spoke to you about coding, and also I subsequently sent you Sal Daniel's text on coding qualitative research. Just tonight I also made a reference to it because that I think is a useful text in helping you to understand how you go through the process of coding data, right? You make meaning of the data that you have collected qualitatively by coding. But before we get to the point of coding, what it means or what is required is for us to go through and transcribe the data, which we also were talking about briefly earlier. So transcribing the data, and it could mean using a transcription software, or it could actually mean sitting down, listening the tape, listening the audio, and writing back what is said word for word, right? It's not only what you hear, right, in terms of the audio, but also the silence, as well as the ums, the ums, the things you observe needs to be documented, right? Those things become very useful when you are then doing your write-up. I saw this with the last of practicum students. We did this in the class, we did it in the class, people forgot, and so they came back asking, for example, about how it is. So when we spoke about rich text analysis and writing up the report and giving rich text, rich thick descriptions, they're asking, what is that? And I had to remind them, so really what it is taking chunks of the data and verbatim data and presenting it back so you can give the participants voice, right? It's important, so as you go analyzing the data, to make meaning of it and to look at coding, developing categories and themes. You also, when you're doing the write-up, need to include in the write-up examples of verbatim quotes, the exact things that people said as part of the interview, which also means that you need to transcribe the interviews. People could see through this in their practicum, and I said, but guys, remember, we did this. So people wanted a shortcut, and they want to transcribe the data in order to actually have information about what people said. You're going to have to transcribe the data. That's important, right? So for module 3, as I said, we focus on qualitative research. Towards the end of this conversation, we have started to look at mixed methods research, which has brought us to module 4, right? And so we just again looked at John Cresswell speaking about what mixed methods research is, what mixed methods research is not, the different designs that are used in a mixed methods research type study. And so we said, if we're looking at mixed methods research through a particular worldview, the preferred worldview is pragmatism. As with the other methodologies, there are also philosophical assumptions that are linked to mixed methods research. So in the same way that quantitative research and qualitative research can be identified through a philosophical assumption called an ontology, it's the same thing with mixed methods research. So there is an ontology that is linked to mixed methods research, an epistemology, a methodology, a rhetoric, and an axiology, right? Which those 5 things are the philosophical assumptions that are linked to mixed methods research. Also note that we have in our possession a checklist that actually gives us a sense of how it is that we need to critique or mixed methods articles, right? So if you look on your course outline, you will actually see that it actually speaks to writing reports, research reports, publishing research, and analyzing research, published research, right? So what we're doing right now, or what we started from where it started mixed methods, is really to look at published articles and to critique those published articles to see, you know, how these reports are written, how they're published, right? And also the methods of analysis that they go through before publishing. So in my estimation, I think we have carefully walked through the course outline as you have it from week 1 to what is now week 12 in preparation for your exam. There are several articles that we have posted on our VLE, and we've been encouraging you to go and read them at your leisure in bite sizes kind of thing. We've spoken about some of them in the class, right? Please remember to pull them down from our VLE so you can continue to have them at your disposal. I'm going to give you a break now, but just note that your examination is not going to be any surprise. You have all the information that you need at your fingertips. Some you probably don't even yet recognize that you have it in your possession, but you do, right? So let us take a 15-minute break and then we come back. By my timepiece, I have a 7:20, which means that we come back at 7:35. At 7:35, we're going to walk through some multiple choice. I'm going to focus you on the exam. Then we're going to do another bit of reflection on what it is that you are, how it is that you propose to use this, which you have learned in the course, and then we talk about group project, and then we wrap up. All right. So let us take a break. If there are no questions, break time. It's official break time, but I'm staying on the chat. Yes, Marsha.
That.
Sir, I have a question.
View the world as people, right? And we see the world through different lenses, and some of the lens could the lens or some of the ways we view the world is because of our experiences and our leaning or persuasion, right? So if we use that same context, why would somebody lean more towards one methodology than another?
Maybe they're more comfortable with that one.
Exactly. Exactly. So that's one of the challenges, because for somebody who studies or practices mixed methods, there needs to be that strength as well as confidence in the use of both. So you need to have some familiarity and confidence in doing statistics and all of those things, but also some familiarity and competence as well as confidence in doing qualitative research, right? Because it requires understanding of both quant and qual research to do mixed methods. And so if the researcher doesn't understand both quant and qual, he or she could find, could run into problems. Yeah. Is there anything else that could be a challenge?
Sir, I don't know, because that was the only thing I was thinking of as it relates to a limitation for the mixed methods.
Remember, it's time consuming as well, tedious.
And it's expensive.
Because you're doing the piece of research twice.
Yeah, it's expensive and it can be time consuming. Because, so like me doing this PhD and I'm saying, oh my God, it is fulfilling though and enriching. But I remember at one point my supervisor said to me, I think you should terminate at the quantitative phase. And I said to her, no, I don't want to, because I've spent so much time just even, designing this thing as a mixed methods research. And what it would mean is that I would then have to go back from ground zero to then design it as a quantitative research. So I said, to the point where I'm at, it just makes sense following through and collecting my qualitative data and stuff. I am not regretting it. I'm not regretting it, because just as the literature says, I've seen in many instances where the qualitative data has allowed me to, has allowed for explanation as to what happened in, or to explain the quantitative results. So just today I was sitting down and looking through again some of it, and it suddenly dawned on me, and I had to again dig back in the literature about where we started as people in terms of slavery, right? And looking at the education system that we now have today, and journeying back to where it started, where education was really for plantation, the children of plantation owners. And so slaves were really just exposed to bare reading and writing. So there's this, from that point, there has always been this very elitist approach to education and classist approach. And we still continue to see it happening, where you have the so-called better schools, and children are placed in some of these so-called better schools, and you find that it is the upper class and the middle class children who go to some of these better schools, and the children with lower socioeconomic status go to the non-traditional schools, the so-called failing schools and stuff. And so I had to critically reflect on, why is this legacy following us to this day. I'm answering the question you asked earlier in terms of the drawback, because I'm seeing it from a qualitative methodology as well as the quantitative. So I did the quantitative portion, but I also had to delve into the qualitative aspect of it as well, right? Which meant my document reviews, going back to historic articles, newspaper articles, archival documents, looking back at the interview transcripts, things were said and stuff, to make meaning of it and to connect it back with the quantitative research data that I collected. Yeah?
Okay.
Okay. We have, and Cresswell has also reminded us of some of the advantages of doing mixed methods research. So it being more robust, things like those. And if you look at it from a very practical standpoint, for people who commission research, they tend to prefer quantitative research. The people hardly, you know, well, I shouldn't say hardly, but more quantitative research are commissioned, right? But a part of the drawback again is that the quantitative data or the statistics sometimes don't fully explain what needs to be understood. And so more and more you find that mixed methods research is being done as part of strengthening that which is known about a particular area of under research.
Yes, sir. I noticed that with the Donald is a poll as it relates to the recent elections. As they asked for figures, they also asked why people said this or why they chose so a particular answer.
I didn't pick that up. A good observation. So
in some instances, he would say some people did not understand, or they did not understand the question, or they would prefer it because of a particular thing. So I didn't notice all of that until I was doing this course. I really picked up on the intricacies of the interview when they were doing it with the journalist course.
Good. At least, yeah. The content of this course has connected with at least one person so far. I know some of others of you have been converted. Yeah. But one of the things though is research is not easy. It doesn't come overnight. So I did master's in computer-based information system over SOCI and never did research in this fashion as you're studying it now. And it was only when I went to School of Education to do my master's in education, then I really started doing research per se. So even when I did my first degree in HR, I did not do research in this fashion, right? But it is something that I grew to learn, grew to understand, did a lot of reading. I realized that having done MED and started MPhil, PhD, it better allowed me to have a better depth and understanding of research, right? So I'm saying this to say to you guys that this thing is not beyond you, you know. It's not beyond you. There was a point in my life when I never knew, and I told myself I would not go to university. Here am I today, not only going to university or having gone to university, but I'm teaching and facilitating a course at a university. So the point I'm making is that we have to be careful about how we set limits on ourselves. That's the message I'm putting forward today. We have to be careful about how we set limits. Nothing is beyond us. Nothing is beyond us.
I just posted the instructions for getting the software. MITS responded to us today.
I saw their response, yes.
Yes, but so I've posted the instructions, and we could perhaps after the exam period, maybe early January, schedule one evening, like a 3-hour session to actually go through the software, give everybody time to get it.
Yeah. All right. So I will check back Olivine, because let me just check my phone. So I'm a constant student. So I have enrolled myself for a data analytics course. Let me just check something. That course starts in December.
Another tip that I'd like to pass on to people who may feel that they're interested in doing research is that they could look up the software R. It's free, it's open source. If you just Google the capital letter R, you'll start to see things coming up, and there's a lot of information freely available and tutorials on R. A lot of journal articles are now using R. So you have journal articles using SPSS, but a lot of them are using R as well. So that is something I would also suggest that people can do on their spare time. We don't teach R in this program, but it is an internationally known thing that everybody is using now.
I agree. Yes, R, it is. All right, so my data analytics course runs all through December and goes up to January 5th. So if we're still talking about a Tuesday, I will be free from January 12th onwards. Well, free to do a class, but not free to do other things. Yeah. All right. But just note, people, I'm always willing to help beyond engagement like these, you know, if I have the time, which by the way, Olivine, today is a somewhat a bittersweet day for me.
Okay, you're gonna tell us why? Because it's the last day, or what is it, your birthday? What?
It's not the last day. Based on the current thinking, it could be the last, my last facilitation in this form.
True, yes, true.
With your school at least. Yeah, with
yes,
your
guys.
program.
Yes, guys, the university is looking to abolish this course, believe it or not. So you guys are very, very lucky to have got this in this form. You may be the last group for several years to do it this way. I'm sure the course will come back because I think it's a good course. So I can't see us abolishing it forever. And the fact that we do have it on the books mean that we can bring it back at a later time.
Let us see. But the point though is that, and Olivine, you should also take note of this, because while the students will go, you know, doing those other courses, if I can surely help, you know, the HRD students, and if I'm available, then I sure will. You know, I don't always.
And remember, we also have the OAAC, so we could always run this exact course through the OAAC. So we can. It's not dead.
You know, I don't always work for money, so.
I know, but we can still run it through the OAAC for people who want to learn about mixed methods.
Yeah.
The university right now, I'm sure the students recognize it. is in a dire financial strait, and so they're chopping courses now, trying to reconcile and put students in large groups. So the HRD students for next year will join with the sociology and the psychology and the social work students, will join with everybody instead of all of us having our individual little classes. That's the model that the department is going in now. So they're breaking everything down.
All right, so on screen, I think everybody should be back now. Yeah, so on screen, I've actually posted, just for reminder, the checklist. For some reason, my thing is stuck here. The checklist that you need to be guided by, right? So this is the checklist that we've been using. It comes from an article that was published by Fetters, right? And somebody else, don't know that name. It's the first time seeing this name, right? So here, this checklist really asks you to evaluate a manuscript or a published research article, right? And so it asks you, so we start looking at it, things like the title, the abstract, the main text, which is the body of the article, as well as additional elements. For the fact that this is a mixed methods article, it's asking you to look whether or not there is the presence of certain methodological elements in the article, right? There is one thing I need to point out to you from this checklist, element number 15, where it says, have the references been cited according to the current American Psychological Association style? When you're doing your review, please take note that the APA 7th edition is in use. However, at the point when this checklist would have been created, as well as the article that you will get to review, it would have been the 6th edition of the citation style or the style guide. So you will need to recalibrate your mind to the fact that this element is asking you about the 6th edition, not the 7th edition. So you're going to look at the reference list through and this in-text citation through the lens of the 6th edition and not the 7th edition, right? In your other pieces of work though, so if, for example, you're asked to do in-text citation as well as to make references, you're going to have to look at it using the 7th edition, right? But for the purpose of this checklist, you are going to be looking at it using the 6th edition, okay? Hope that's clear. Just give me 1 minute.
No, sir. Could you go again, please?
Look at the screen. Look at element number 15 for me. Are we seeing what it says?
Yes, got you.
Element number 15, when you're thinking about it, you must think about it in the context of APA 6th edition.
Okay.
The article that you're reading or you're going to be reviewing, was done in 2014, which means that the 6th edition was in use at that time,
Yeah.
not the 7th edition.
Okay, got you.
You will be asked to reference things. So for example, you're going to be asked to write an essay and you must use in-text citation and referencing. When you're doing that, you're going to be required to use the 7th edition to reference your work. So I need that to be clear.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. So Is there anything on this checklist that is not clear to anybody that needs explanation? Which, by the way, this is the same checklist that you're going to use for the exam. I'll just tell you.
So, sir, do we have to, so we answer yes and no, I get that part, but do we have to write the number page?
Write the what?
On the next slide, after you pass, at the end, it says number page. All right, we don't have to do that.
Oh,
it's just yes and no.
Column?
Yes.
It makes sense for you to actually indicate. So if it is a yes, for whomever is reviewing needs to see what number or which number are you using to support your response. And if you don't have, if it is not present, then you're gonna have to say why you think it is not present. Yeah? What you'll not be required to do is to rewrite items, to write back out does that. So all you need to do is to write one, yes, it is there, and if it is there, you state the number that it appears. If no, you say why you think it does not appear, or why you think it doesn't exist. Yeah. So Marsha, you were asking earlier about this checklist and other things to show you whatever. It's not going to come any different from this. That's going to look any different. Please note that pages 418 to 420 explains for you what these 20 items are asking you for. So this provides the explanation for what they're saying. So like, for example, we just focus on 15. Here it says, have the references been cited according to the current APA citation style. In the submission, authors must prepare the articles in accordance with the most current APA writing and citation convention. Failure to comply with the current APA guide occurs most commonly at the initial submission stage and causes delay in the review. So why I actually chose to point this out is that I don't want people to say, but okay, I'm confused now because there's 7th edition and so on. So I'm saying to you, when you're looking at it this way, you need to think about the 7th edition, the 6th edition, I should say. Yeah. Any questions, any point for clarification before I move on from this? But just note that this gives you, if you're not comfortable with just this on page 18 onwards gives you an explanation as to what different items need. Right? What you'd be required to do is to look through the article, which means you have to read the article, yeah? And having read the article, then use a checklist to then evaluate the article or critique the article. What that is also doing is lending itself to you going back and reflecting on what this course has been for you as well as looking at how mixed methods articles, at least in that instance, one article has been prepared, right, for submission. Right? So again, you're still in that learning mode, even though you're doing your examination, right? So that's one bit of the examination. So you will get the actual article. Olivine is going to be uploaded on on RVLE, right?
The article for the exam?
Yes.
It has already been uploaded.
Okay. So the article as well as, and you already have the checklist. We're also going to upload this article, right? So that saves you the time to go and search for it as well, along with the exam paper.
What's the name of the article?
Well, we don't know yet. We don't know what the name of the article is.
You'd be advised to read them all.
Yeah. Yeah.
All
So let me just.
in class. So those that we remember when we were broken up in groups, it would be from that set.
Just go back to RVLE, Marsha. Look at what is present on RVLE. Yeah. So if you notice here, I said remember to search and pull down materials from RVLE. Yeah. That's all we can tell you. We don't want to breach examination protocol. All right, so since I'm on exam focus, so here, so I just went through what you'll be required to do for the mixed methods article review. The second portion of the exam is asking you to critically reflect on the course by writing an essay. Now, just the other day for my exam, my entry exam into this HR course that I'm doing, high-level HR course, I had to write an essay. What was good for me is that I teach this course called Academic Writing and Research Methods. So it was not bother for me, right? But I know for some people it probably could, right? Just to remind you that when you're writing a formal essay, there are some elements that you need to be guided by, right? So there are a certain number of body paragraphs and introductory paragraph and conclusion kind of thing. So there must be a bundle of paragraphs, right, coming together to make the essay. In your introductory paragraph, you will need, at least in the first sentence, what is known as a hook. And towards the end of that introductory paragraph, you must have what is known as a thesis statement. That thesis statement will guide what the reader is expecting in the rest of the essay, right? From that introductory paragraph, there are several what we know as body paragraphs, and each body paragraph must have what is known as a topic sentence. A topic sentence really is, serves the purpose of directing the argument or the flow of the research, well, not the research, the paragraph, right? So ideally, your topic sentence is the first sentence in the paragraph. And as I said, that topic sentence guides the rest of the paragraph. A paragraph ideally should be one idea. So it's not useful to mix several ideas in the same paragraph. One idea to the paragraph, yeah? Your paragraph, based on the length of your paper, could actually have several paragraphs, yes, which actually expound on a particular main overarching idea. But what is useful to note is that a paragraph really is focused on one main idea, right? Again, part of what, you know, and this is nothing to feel, you know, squeamish about and stuff. But one of the things, for example, I say to my students, well, your paragraph should have that topic sentence, but it should also elaborate. It should also give some examples where possible, right? And so in fleshing out a paragraph, you need to focus on things like the who, the what, the when, the where, the why, the how, and things like those. Those are things that actually help to give your paragraph meat and substance. You can't go wrong if you focus on the who, the when, the where, the how, the why, and stuff, and give examples, right? So those are important things. A mistake that people sometimes make when they're writing an essay is that they write a conclusion, and the conclusion starts a whole different essay. Your conclusion is meant to sum up, wrap up the discourse. And so there should be a direct link back to the thesis statement. So in a sense, I like to say it's a restatement of that thesis statement. So if somebody reads your introduction and the conclusion, they should have a sense of what is contained in the body of the discourse, right? So the body of the discourse is really just elaborating on what you said you would write about in the introduction, specifically the thesis statement, right? I'm going to be marking the paper for format as well, right? So how well do you follow a well-written essay format, right? A part of the paper will actually see how it is that you have, what would I say, embraced, read through the articles and sought to understand the different aspects of the course content, right? So if you notice, I kept emphasizing read the articles, you know, no matter how simple, no matter how short it is. A part of the exam is actually going to be requiring you to draw back on what it is that you know and to present what you know from the article. It's not also going to mean regurgitating. So what it means is that you're going to be required to paraphrase what you know and also to make in-text citation using different articles and then to reference the articles that you're making reference to or you're alluding to at the end of the essay. So your essay must have in-text citations and it also must have a properly written reference list that is done using the 7th edition of APA. You will also need to reflect on other aspects of the course. So as I say, it is really a reflective piece, a critical reflective piece that causes you to think through your journey from the beginning of the course to the point where you're writing your examination, right? You will get 2 days, it is the 44 hours, Olivine. Olivine?
Coming, 48 hours.
48 hours, right? To do it and to type it up, right? And submit it to RVLE. Based on how it is structured, you are going to be able to be forced to write it for yourself, right? And so I've said to Olivine, I don't think that there is much need to write to turn it in, but I also told Olivine today, I've been teaching for 20 years, 20 years, which means I have good eyes for recognizing when things are lifted. And more so, even for these mixed methods material, I pretty much know a lot of them. And I've read them all. And so I know exactly where the content will come from. And so if I see something lifted, I can say, this was lifted from X place. So don't try that, because I'll know if it was lifted and you mark down if it is lifted from somewhere.
Sir, excuse me, sir.
Yes.
The 48 hours, which 2 days does that comprise? Is the 13 and the 14 or the 14 and the 15?
Olivine?
I'd have to look it up. I don't want to say something and then it is
But
wrong.
the exam, based on what we had said, the exam starts on...
The exams should start on the date that you see on the exam timetable, and then you have 48 hours after that. Yeah.
And we do not foresee that there's going to be any overlap or spillover into any other exam day.
No.
Right. Again, we've taken different things into consideration. So even in terms of the time when the exam will open, so for those people who have need to do it at the office, where there's still internet connection, where you can find yourself to somewhere that there's stable internet connection, whatever, you can. It's not that you're doing it online either in a portal where you have to rush. You go pull it down, do whatever you have to do and upload. So we've made it of such that there is not a lot of those eventualities that people may have. Right?
For the reflection, is there a page limit?
No, we haven't put any page limit on it. Well, for one piece, I actually said that there needs to be. So for the article review, you're also going to have to reflect on that, and it is no more than a page. For this critical reflection, there is no page limit, but there are certain verbs that are used. For example, discuss, which means discuss really means something, right? Which means you can't just write a few lines and finish. A discussion is a discussion. Or if you're talking about the things that you've learned in terms of content, it can be a one line or a one sentence. It has to be a discussion, an explanation, an elaboration of what you've learned. So I don't like to put page limits on things because there are people who are writers and like to write and write and write. So I'll read everything that you write.
But you've also posted the rubric, so it would give an idea of the quality of the answer relative to another part of the question.
Right, so the rubric is also in the exam document itself. So you'll get a sense of how the weighting of the different options are. Yeah. Again, it is nothing that you have seen before, and some of it is gonna come from you. It is your own putting yourself into the process and writing about it, talking about it. Yeah.
The boys recovering this afternoon after a vicious dog attack. A 5-year-old was mauled last week in Jamaica,
Right.
and now he's 1,600 miles away.
All right, so let us spend a little bit of time going through these multiple choice, and some of them will actually bring you back to some of the things that we've spoken about, and some of them will actually expose you to a little bit of new content, right? So I'm projecting them on screen, and I'm gonna at random call on different persons to help me with the responses, right? Here the first one says research in which, so are you seeing my screen with the multiple choice?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so research in which quantitative and qualitative techniques are mixed in a single study is specifically called a mixed research, mixed methods research, mixed model research, multi-methods research. Colette, I'm going to give you this.
Titania is saying she's not seeing the screen.
Who is that?
Titania.
Is she the only one not seeing it? Olivine, are you seeing it?
I'm seeing it, yes.
Colette, are you seeing it?
Yes, I'm seeing it.
Okay, so she may need to just
refresh the screen or something.
Or log off and come back on. So Colette, this question is for you.
Mixed methods research.
So you're saying mixed methods research?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Why couldn't it be mixed research? Could it be mixed research as well?
I don't recall seeing the term mixed research. I remember seeing mixed methods research.
Okay. All right. So one of the things, and there's slight, what I'd say, nuances, and so I literally actually adjusted this to read mixed methods research because I only had mixed. But there is also so for some literature they actually speak about mixed research as well, which is really again speaking about mixed methods research. So in this question, both could be the preferred response that they gave was mixed research, but it could also be mixed methods research. So I will accept the response, mixed methods research. And I deliberately, as I said, adjusted it for you guys, right? But just to note, so some people have written, and the language they use is mixed research. Okay, so the second question is, it says, let me see who this one is for. Is Belle still in the class? Antoinette? No? All right. Is Catherine Bennett still in the class? All right, no. I'm seeing Nodian on chat here. Nodian, are you there? Nodian? Giselle Freighter? Which, by the way, people, as I'm calling names here, I'm going to be going to RVLE to look at how people have participated there, how people have responded, because that's how you're going to get your 5% grade. Also, if you haven't yet uploaded the checklist, not the checklist, the instrument that I've asked Olivine to ask you to complete and upload, please, please do so. So Giselle Freighter. Giselle? Latoya?
Hi, sir.
Right. For a while, I thought people weren't hearing me in it. All right, so this question is for you, question 2. It says, research in which quantitative and qualitative approaches are mixed within or across the stages of the research process is specifically called?
Specifically called, I'd say, the approach is research in which quantitative and qualitative approaches are mixed. Stages. I'd say mixed model research.
Why mixed model?
Because when you talk about different approaches, I think you're talking more about just the method. Yeah, maybe I'm wrong.
So if you remember, we used the term, and this you saw on your quiz. So I used the term methodology, and I said there is another word, or there are actually 2 other words that can be used for methodology. Approach was one of them, and paradigm was one of them, right? So really what this is saying is research in which quantitative and qualitative approaches or methodologies are mixed within and across stages of the research are called, specific processes are specifically called. You're right, it is a mixed model, and there's a fine difference between mixed method research and mixed model, right? So for method research, what you will find is that the mixing could happen, or the integration could happen at one stage of the research. It must happen at one stage of the research, right? While for mixed model, it can happen at different stages of the research. Now, when we talk about stages of research, we're talking about planning, for example, implementation, right? And that could be broken down into the actual data collection, for example, designing, data analysis, reporting kind of thing. So those are the stages that are being spoken of, right? So
okay, sir. And for methodology, you said it's okay. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
in a sense, what this is pointing to is that it says so the operative portion here is are mixed within and across the stages. That's the operative thing.
Okay.
So within the stages, which means within the data collection stage, some mixing could be taking place there, or some integration of quant and qual, as well as across different stages. So data collection could be one stage, for example, the design of the instrument could be one stage, the actual data collection, the analysis could be one stage, the interpretation could be one stage, the writing up, right? So what's actually saying is that the integration could take place at different stages. It's really a fine thread between mixed methods and mixed model research. The other thing with mixed model research, and if you listen, John Cresswell earlier talked about the embedded research, which is the advanced stage. I would more identify a mixed model approach in that embedded stage, because it could mean you're doing a long research project and there are different components that are involved in it, right? That require different phases and stages. And so you have different research models being put together, right? So, but don't confuse yourself. It is the research model, right, which is the answer, and it's because it actually focuses on the research, both quant and qual components, taking place at different phases, stages of the research. Well,
Okay, sir, and I just have one question. For methodology, you say it's similar or synonymous to paradigm and what?
Methodology. So for when you hear people talk about research methodology, they could say research paradigm or research approach. It's the same.
Yeah, you always mention that, but I forget sometimes. So research paradigm or research approach. Okay.
Approach or research methodology.
All right, sir. Thank you.
Depending on which writer, they will use the term synonymously, or they will. So some don't use research methodology; they say research approach, which they're really talking about methodology, or they say paradigm, which they're really talking about methodology. Same way. Yeah.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
All right.
Good evening, sir. Can I ask a question?
Yes.
Yes, sir. Based on what you just said, you said that sometimes there is some level of integration going on, right? With the method. Denny.
Who was it that just spoke to me?
Latoya.
Oh, Latoya. I'm checking out. Oh, Latoya Young. Okay, good. Yes, Denny.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. What I'm asking, sir, so if there is integration going on, wouldn't that the method lose its purity?
Explain a little bit more of that for me.
Because in my mind, when you say qualitative and quantitative, something is 100% qualitative and something is 100% quantitative. Now with what you just said, sir, it sounds like you can shift from one to the other, and then at the end of the day, you say that you're quantitative. But if there's integration, the thing, it wouldn't be pure.
Denny, but remember, if we're talking about mixed methods, and if we think about design, we're not on a quantitative or qualitative camp. We're mixing. So if you remember last week, the example that we used when we spoke about concurrent design, we're saying we're collecting quantitative data and qualitative data at the same time, right? So
yes,
we're embracing qual and quan, right? So I don't think we'd be interfering with or watering down the method. It's just that we're using the two to our advantage. So we're using survey and we're using interviews at the same time.
Okay.
To bolster the research, right?
Yes, sir. Thanks.
Yeah. So this question is for you though, Denny. 3, since you're on the floor.
So you want me to read it, sir?
So I read it for you. So it says research in which quantitative phase and in which a quantitative phase and a qualitative phase are included in the overall research study is specifically called. Read it for yourself because it requires some thinking.
Yeah, I'm looking at the word phase.
Just give me 1 minute. Just give me 1 minute, Danny, while you're thinking about it. Just 1 minute.
Yes, sir. Somebody has the answer.
Yes, Danny, I'm back.
Okay, sir, I'm just using the process of elimination based on what everything else is. So I'm going with multi-method research.
Read it again.
The only other answer would go with, sir, is then A.
Let me take you out of your misery. It is mixed methods, right? So here it says research in which the quantitative phase and the qualitative phase are included in the overall study is specifically called. So not because it doesn't say a single study, right? But that is what it's actually alluding to, right? So for this one, it's a mixed.
So, but remember, sir, at question 1, you said that mixed method could be the answer also. Both, you would accept both?
So for question 1, so note question 1, Denny, and question 1 and this one is really similar, right? Because here it says quantitative and qualitative techniques are mixed in a single research study, right? So if you remember Anthony Auerbuse's article or definition, he spoke about technique, methodology, and all of those things as a part of the definition for mixed methods research in a single study. Cresswell also highlighted that, so qual and quan being integrated in a single study. So this question, question 3, it says research in which quantitative phase and qualitative phase are included in the overall research study is specifically called, right? So the thing about it is that, and the point you're making earlier, or I made earlier, is that before they would actually speak about mixed research, but we don't necessarily use the term mixed research again. The settled term is mixed methods research. Yeah?
Thank you, sir.
I argued with somebody about this, but the settled term now is mixed methods research.
Thanks, sir.
All right, I said Trisha Gay, the 4th one for you.
Sorry, one thing. Some people say integrative research. What is the
Right. Again, because of the push the push towards the emphasis on that word integration. So I know, for example, what's his name? What's the gentleman, their name, Olivine up there?
Robert Gale?
Yeah, I've heard him use that term. Well, of course, there's integrated thing. I just, anyway, I don't want to go into it. I don't think it's integrative though. That's all I say and leave it there. Or it is skewed towards a particular methodology, I should say, in a different way. Yeah. All right, so Trisha Gay, this one is you.
Okay, sir.
I'm not seeing Dennis list.
Sir, I'm going with a cross-stage mix module.
Why?
In a reading, I came across this term, and basically it's saying that this method is used across at least 2 stages of the research being done. And the question, the use of quantitative research objective, collection of quantitative data, and the use of quantitative data analysis. So I'm going with C.
But what from this question? So look at this stem of the question and tell me what words or phrase are being used that tell you that it's a cross stage.
Use of quantitative research objective. They collect quantitative data and they also use the quantitative data analysis.
Yes. So it says qualitative, now notice qualitative data collection and quantitative data analysis is 2 different stages. So data collection and data analysis is 2 different stages, but one is quantitative data collection and the other is qualitative data collection. 2 different stages, 2 different methodologies. Yeah? So that's why that is the response. All right? Good. So, Nicole. Nicole? All right, so listen, people, you're gonna have to be on the alert for when I call you. So, guys, if you know your friend not on the call or something, please tell them that their name is gonna be called. So they need to listen. So I need Nicole. This question 5 is for Nicole. We have at least 15 more to go. This one is for Nicole.
Yes, sir.
So this question says the use of a quantitative research objective, collection of quantitative data, and the use of quantitative data analysis is known as?
Monomethod research, sir, because it's only talking about quantitative research.
Great, great. Okay. So Nicole's name appears on the listing. Okay, Nicole Spike. Okay. So just note I'm checking who is responding. So this one is for Giovanni.
Yes, sir.
6 says mixed researchers typically use a pragmatist philosophy. Is this true or false?
Yes, sir. It is true, sir. We
It's
spoke
true.
about last class, sir.
Okay. Yes. So mixed methods research has embraced pragmatism. The next one is for Braham. And Braham.
Hi, sir. Good night.
Yeah. So this one says the pragmatist philosophy is most closely associated with which of the following positions: the incompatibility thesis or the compatibility thesis? Braham?
Yes, sir. I'm not remembering at the moment.
Make a shoot
So
in
I'm
the
gonna guess. Yeah, I'm gonna have to make an educated guess.
But even if you make a guess, you're going to have to explain to me why you guess that way. So while she's thinking it through, do you remember the conversation that we had about incompatibility thesis? In fact, it was one of you who made a similar guess when I raised the term incompatibility thesis, and somebody broke it down and said, it should mean X, Y, and Z. So I remember somebody explaining it for us. So were you at that class, Braham?
No, sir, I don't think so.
Okay. So what's your preferred response?
So my guess would just be blind because I honestly I'm not remembering that. So I would say
So
A.
let me ask you the question the next way. What do you think the incompatibility thesis is referring to?
Possibly about the incompatibility of quantitative versus qualitative method.
Do you want to expound on that some more for us?
If certain research methodologies or designs can be used with another in either qualitative or quantitative.
All right, so there's an article that is found on Orwelli called The Death of Mixed Methods. Have you read that article?
Yes, I think I have, sir.
Okay, and you didn't come across the term incompatibility thesis in that article?
Possibly, but I remember reading that article at the beginning of the semester.
You can't do a mixed methods course and not know what the term incompatibility thesis is. So I'd say to you, go back and read that article.
No problem, sir.
The response is B, because pragmatists do not believe in the incompatibility thesis. They believe that quantitative research and qualitative research can coexist, and for that reason, they prefer or push forward the integration of both quantitative and qualitative research. So others who do not believe in mixed methods, for example, will embrace the incompatibility thesis, which is really saying that mixed methods and quantitative research, I should say, and qualitative research cannot come together. They cannot be integrated. They cannot be blended. They cannot be fused together. That's what the incompatibility thesis is saying in a nutshell. All right. All right, let me see who else is on this chat. So I saw Denny, Giovanni, Nicole, Tremaine. Tremaine, question 8 for you. So question 8 says, which of the following is a weakness of quantitative research? Tremaine?
Give me a second, so let me read this. I'd say C, testing hypotheses that are constructed before the data are collected.
You sure, Jermaine?
Hold on. Hold on. All right, so quantitative is used, quantitative is used to test theories, while the qualitative is used to build on those theories. Right? So I'd say, yeah, okay, so B, the researchers' categories that are used may not reflect.
Right, that's a better choice.
Yeah, B.
Yeah, okay. All right, Sasha Gay, 9 is for you. So I just got Tremaine. Okay, Sasha Gay.
Yes, sir.
All right, so 9 is for you. So which of the following is a weakness of qualitative research?
So I would say A.
Why A?
Because for the most part, whenever you do qualitative research, sir, the results is based on the interpretation of the researcher, of the findings of the research, from the research.
Yes, you're right. What is C saying though?
Probably that it will determine, I'm not sure.
Okay.
Something about maybe cause and effect.
Not quite cause and effect, but if you remember when we spoke about, for example, people's experiences, so qualitative research is focused on getting people's personal experiences, lived experiences, for example, right? So when we spoke about when we had a conversation around the designs, for example, and we spoke about ethnography or phenomenology and stuff like those, or narrative. So it is really getting a personal experience, personal account from somebody, right? So yeah, so the preferred response there is that and I would use the word results, either the findings are more easily influenced by the interviewer or the researcher's bias, right?
Okay, yes.
So 9 is a preferred response there. 10 is for Marsha. Who did I get earlier there before Marsha? Who just responded a while ago?
Sasha Gay.
Okay. Marsha, 10 is for you.
More time consuming and expensive. D.
D. Yes. Okay. So I'm looking for Tasha Gears. I see Marsha's name here. Okay. Antoinette, have I heard from you? Bell? Bell? Montague? Montague? Olivine, just read the chat for me to see if these people are posting anything. Sinclair, is it Sinclair? Nodian?
Nothing new in the chat.
Nodian? Titania, or you know, it's not Titania, Smith or Smith? Donna?
Yes, sir.
11.
So I would say within stage mixed method, mixed model research.
Why do you think so though?
Because the questionnaire covers a single stage. It's the data collection stage.
You're right. Yeah. So 11 is a preferred option there because whether it is quant or qual, yeah, it covers one stage. All right, Giselle. And this is, it doesn't seem like Giselle Freighter because Giselle Freighter or Fraser identifies with both names. Just the other Giselle.
Yes, sir.
Is that Johnson? 12.
Yes. I would say B, mixed method, because I guess especially when you're doing like the exploratory sequential design, you start at the qualitative research and then you proceed to the quantitative research.
Okay. Yes, you're right. These are the signs that are in place for mixed methods research. So you're right, it's mixed methods. Okay. Who was before Smith? Remind me. Who answered before Smith?
Before Giselle?
Oh, so it was Giselle. Giselle Johnson.
Yes, sir, Giselle Johnson.
Donna answered before Giselle, sir.
Yeah, man, I got Donna already. Donna. All right, so Latoya is 13.
Hi, sir. So 13, here is a mixed design using mutation, qual plus quant. What does this mean? All right.
Answer already?
Yes, sir.
No, I don't want you then. Assume
Okay,
come.
sir. All right.
Yeah. So, I'm still trying to get Giselle Freighter or Fraser.
Sir, it's Fraser.
Is that you?
No, sir.
Oh, I think I corrected myself a while ago. Okay, she's still not here. And I'm still trying to get Bell. All right. So I think we probably may need to make the round again. There is 3 gentlemen in the class. I'm trying to find out one. I had Lorenzo, Tremaine. Okay. No, Lorenzo. Lorenzo is there? Do we have Lorenzo here?
Giselle sent a message in the chat. She said that her connectivity is breaking up.
Okay. All right, so Nicole, I'm gonna come back to you. 13.
I'm reading it, sir.
Yeah.
Giselle would like you to ask her a question. She'll type the answer. So give her a question and let her work on it.
14 for her.
Sir, I would say D.
Why D?
Sir, because the plus sign mean you're going to use both of them. So I'm thinking that it would give them equal status.
Right. But what, so there's a difference here, you know, there's a difference here, right? So what aspect makes it equal status? Is it because of the plus sign?
Yes, sir.
All right, so let me help you. It is really the capitalization that makes it equal status and not the plus sign.
Oh.
The plus sign says it is concurrent.
Okay.
So when you see all caps, so both of them are all caps, which means that they're equal status. If you saw a lowercase and an uppercase, the uppercase would actually mean that that's the dominant, right?
Okay, sir.
But the plus sign actually says it is concurrent, and if you see a directional sign, an arrow, it says it is sequential.
Okay, sir.
Okay. So Giselle, 14 for Giselle. What is Giselle saying there, Olivine?
She says it's A.
A, 14A, yes. Okay. So just as I said, so dominant status sequential, which would mean that, so here you have the quan that is dominant and also the arrow, which means that, yeah. Okay, good. So these notations do matter, people. And so even, for example, when you're writing your work, so even for your proposal, you need to actually indicate these symbols or these notations, I should say. They're not symbols, they're notations that actually match the design of your work. Right? All right, 15. So let me just tick off Fraser. Johnson, coming back to Johnson, Giselle Johnson, 15.
Yes, sir.
What do you think for 15?
All right, so it's a sequential design. So would it be B, equal status sequential design?
You're right. You're right. Okay. All right, Gio.
Sir, do you answer? I'll take this one.
Okay.
I think it's a dominant status sequential. No, not sequential. So one is dominant, concurrent.
Concurrent because it's the plus sign.
The plus sign, and then the one is dominant because you say it's uppercase.
Right, you're right. Braham. Take 17 for us, Braham.
D, sir.
D, yes. Why D?
Well, both of them are in capital letters. which means there will be equal status, and the plus sign makes them concurrent.
Okay, good. Is Latanya on this call? Yes, she is. Latanya, 18.
Yes, sir.
18.
Cannot be a purpose or rational. Sir, I mean, I'm gonna have to do a process of elimination.
I know this one is stumbling.
Yeah, because mixed, you do triangulation with the quan and the qual. The one can be used to complement the other. I think you can use one to develop on the other.
So
Initiation?
which response you're saying?
Don't know, initiation?
All right, so this one is, the response is actually F, because all of these are purposes for mixed methods research. So I wanted to...
I wasn't, yeah, I was thinking that, sir, but I wasn't...
I wanted to look in your set of stuff for an article that is written by Green, and I think Caracelli, right? But more Green, Jennifer Green, who speaks about purpose and stuff of mixed methods, right? So, but these are all purposes that are put forward for mixed methods research. I don't have the time to actually go through and itemize what exactly they mean for you, but these are the purposes for mixed methods research. So please note as well, when you're writing a mixed methods, a properly written mixed methods paper, you need to give the purpose for mixed methods research different from the purpose for the study. Same thing, a difference need to be explained for the rationale for mixed methods versus and also the rationale for the study. So if you look back on John Creswell's diagram, it articulates that where you need to give a mixed method rationale as a rationale for the study, a purpose for the study as well as a mixed methods purpose. So these that are listed here are the purpose for mixed methods research, right? Yes, Latanya?
Yes, sir.
All right, so you learned something new tonight. Latanya?
Sir?
You learned something new tonight.
I would say that.
We're looking in the crystal ball and seeing people like you doing PhD and something, you know.
No, sir.
Never say never here. Never.
I'm saying never right now.
Well, right now, you know, so what I told you earlier, I'd said never. That never turned out to be never here. Okay.
I don't like school that much, honestly.
It's not about school, it's about learning.
Sir, I mean, if it's not a short course, I don't think I'll be ever considering going back to school after this.
Okay. So Phil, take 20 for us. Or did you do 19? Oh,
I
no.
did one already, sir.
Yeah, man, but we're going back through the round. So take 19.
So I'm not sure, so I'm just going to say all of the above.
All right, so it says, which of the following mixed method rationale seeks elaboration, enhancement, illustration, clarification of the results from one method with the results from the other as complementarity. Complementarity.
Thank you.
Go to your that green article though, Jennifer Green article, right? To do some more reading on some of these things. Remember, as I pointed to, you guys need to be able to draw on the literature, draw on the things that you've read, do your in-text citation, and speak to what you have read, right, and understood. So you're still to the end. I'm still gonna push you to articulate some of what you know, right? All right, 20. Let me see who does 20. Gio, you wanted the 20?
What two questions must be answered in order to select one for specific research design? All right, let me try, sir. Sir, E?
Yes, it is E.
Yeah.
So you want to find out the priority, and you also want to find out the sequence, whether it's concurrent or sequential. Right? But yes, E. So we want to find out A and B, right? Finding out the theory is not as whether it's theory or data driven is not such a big thing. And the final one, let me see who goes to the final one. Who wants to answer this one? What did we say Belle about Belle? Did she write in the chat?
No.
Okay, which means she's not at class, it seems. Marsha, do you want to take this one?
Not really, sir, but I'll look.
But it is easy.
Would be equals status sequential.
Why would you say sequential?
Concurrent, because he did them together, sorry. So the D.
Also, right, but also, so that's the operative thing there. So it is D. So it was an equal status concurrent design.
Because he was doing the quantum, both of them together.
Right. But, all right, guys. So good going. At least I think I've satisfied myself that you guys have some understanding, some insight about mixed methods as well. So as said, we've gone through aspects of quan, we've gone through aspects of qual, we've gone through aspects of mixed methods research. Now I want to spend the last few minutes just to ask you guys to think about, so having concluded this course, how is it, what will you propose, that you're going to do with all of this that you have gained insights into? Denny, I want to hear from you. What are you going to do differently?
Well, I'm going to do many things, differently, sir. I think the process has already started.
Great.
Because now I kind of, I don't remember who mentioned it earlier about the polls. I think it was Sophia. So those things, I have a better understanding of what it is saying. Because to me, it was just a numbers thing. I'm a numbers person, sir. I didn't really appreciate the qualitative part of it until
So
now.
you're the researcher who identified yourself in the first class.
The researcher?
Were you?
No.
Alevine, we're going to go back to the first recording. One of the male in the class, a male and a female in this class. Unless I'm mixing this class with another class.
Well, remember, all the things are posted on RVLE, every one of the recordings.
Yeah, so we're going to go back. If I'm not mistaken,
Olivine, how can I download it?
Or probably
You have to go to RVLE and click the link. That's the only way to get to them.
Probably somebody else are mixing up. Yeah, but you're saying my good friend.
Yes, sir. So I now appreciate the qualitative part of it.
Okay.
Although I still lean to the quantitative some more. I have more confidence there.
But in terms of human resource development, how do you propose to contribute to human resource development?
Well, as you said, sir, well, basically the course, I can see where the qualitative, it will impact that side somewhere, because basically your qualitative help you to narrow down the problem at hand. Because sometimes you're with quantitative, you're just general and it's just numbers. You want to get to the root cause of issues. So qualitative will help me in that area. It will make me more sensitive, sir, and don't look at people as just numbers.
Okay.
So it will be the human side. Qualitative will bring out the human side of me to get to the nitty, to look beyond the general number and see how I can fix the problem. I think qualitative is more long-term. Quantitative is kind of short-term.
Okay, right. You can be cross-sectional.
Yes, sir.
But do you currently work in HR?
No, sir. Far from HR.
Far from HR. Okay. So why are you doing this course, though?
Because I like, well, this course, because I like human resource development, and this course is a part of the whole program.
Okay, okay. Olivine, just a little sidebar, but tell you what, I was so proud of what's that guy's name who works at Sanchez Bookshop, or Horace. I saw Horace put up his graduation picture, and I was so proud of him. So proud. I was proud of all the students, but I was just so proud of him in terms of the struggles that he has been through, and to see him graduate, Yeah. So, and one of the things, and why I raised him was one of the things he actually said to me. So he works in HR, and he was actually talking to me because he was in my research practicum, and he was talking to me about some of the things that he has started to do at work, having gone through this course. So Gio, that's kind of how I wanted to start to think about how it is that you're going to use this course, but also research methods to do things at work. So you probably don't necessarily have to be working in HR at work, but how do you then seek to, I'm assuming your work, so how do you seek to forge some partnerships, some alliance, for example, with HR at work, in terms of how do you use the research skills, yeah, or seek to understand what they're doing from a research perspective and to strengthen that skill or what you've learned, right?
But it really is something that you guys need to think about, because one of the weaknesses that we have in HR here is that we really don't have enough Caribbean research. So and that is one of the reasons we started the PhD as well. We do need people to begin to apply this kind of thinking, this kind of logical thinking to solving problems that we have in HR. And so, you know, it's the sort of thing that I want you guys really to think about.
So as I just mentioned, for example, how do you collaborate?
Yeah.
In my organization, we have people who reach out and they help HR with things. So it may be on a project, for example, and they help us to go and do things, to research things, to understand things, and then to come back and to make suggestions. So like now I'm working on an employer branding strategy. And I have somebody who does not work in HR helping with this employer branding strategy, right? It requires research, right? But here's somebody who's helping me with it. So these are the things I'm asking you guys to start to think about. How do you apply what you have learned in this? And it don't have to be hardcore research. Yeah? All right.
The problem too, you know, sometimes we don't even know what problems we have, because if you did consultancy, and I'm hoping that some of you will do consultancy. A lot of people here didn't do the consultancy course that we have, but you could think about it for later. But you find that a lot of organizations have the same problems, and they don't even know that somebody else shares their problem. Or they have one solution in this company and another solution in that company. The two companies never get together to share ideas because nobody is doing any kind of research to know what people are doing. They don't know, for instance, what is happening in training. You don't know what is happening in performance management. You don't know the metrics that are happening across the various areas because nobody is doing the research. And the only way that the discipline is going to grow is if you guys take it on and move forward with it, develop it, so that we're not teaching the same thing in 10 years time. We've actually gone on to bigger HR problems. You guys need to be the ones to take it forward.
So I would say to you guys that this needs to be a big ticket item.
Yes.
How do you propose and also defend? You know, so proposing and defending how you will use the insights that you've gained from this course, you know, to strengthen or to enhance HRD in Jamaica and the Caribbean. Yeah. All right, I see it's 9 o'clock or somewhere near there, which means it's
Sorry, Marsha is saying she wasn't aware of the consultancy course, the small business development and growth. That's what that course is about. It's about you creating your own work. We wanted people to develop their own businesses.
Tell you what, that is something that I think is lacking. We're turning out a lot of people to go and seek employment.
Exactly.
Rather than
create their own work and create work for others. That is what that course is about.
Yeah. Why? I wish.
Had that choice, and we didn't have much. We had to choose either it or IT, so it wasn't a clear-cut course. Or I'm sure more persons have done it. We had to choose.
Yeah, I know. But I'm sure I said it. Because I market that program. I market that course heavily.
So what we're seeing here is that we are at the end of this sojourn. I sure hope that you guys benefited from the conversations, the interactions that we had, and you will take all of this that you have learned, while everything may not have cemented, but surely what it has done is that it has, you know, opened your eyes, and I like to consider it as, you know, you're in a place kind of dark, and you pull the curtain just a little bit and you see a peak of light kind of thing. So try and open the curtain some more so you can see much more sunlight. I just told you a while ago, I started from a place where I knew absolutely nothing about research, but it was through reading and stuff, and, you know, just applying myself that I'm this far. And I, you know, again, thanks to Olivine, because it was in in a course, Olivine, that you are doing. But I tell you, you know, divine presence is always present, because
Sir, when are you expected? Sorry.
When I just got to that place was I was filling in for somebody. When am I what?
Yeah, I was asking, when are you expected to finish with your PhD?
So I need to submit by at least February, and I hope to defend by May.
Okay, sir. All the very best. You will do it.
Thank you, thank you.
You're
It's done.
welcome.
It's done. I'm just reading back over.
Okay, okay, very good.
Final.
Congrats, sir.
Yeah, thanks. Putting some final touches to it. Me being me.
Okay, sir. Good.
Very good. So it's done. It's done. Just to submit for exam. In fact, I've applied for examination already.
Awesome.
Yeah. And even though they say I must know your examiners, but I've already been telling my people who, because this is the other thing, people, that I would say, and sorry for keeping up your time, but be bold and step out. Because, and as I talk, Olivine, I remember Karen. So
Yeah.
I remember Karen reaching out to people like Professor Bandura. And I, for example, I'm studying emotions, and I reach out to people like Jack May and Peter Salvi and Mark Brackett and all of these top people who write about and conceptualize this term emotional intelligence. So now these people, they know me. So the point is that you have to step out and make these people know you, right? Don't be afraid. All right.
And the people do right back to you, you know, they really, really do. Most of the people who have written the textbooks that you use in this program, I've spoken with them personally. They will respond to you. They want to respond to you.
They do.
They want to share what they know. They're excited when people are curious about their discipline.
Olivine, there's this man, I don't remember his name now, I think it's Foam or something of that sort, but he's online, and you never send him a statistics question, and he does not respond.
Yeah.
And quickly, and I'm saying, where did this man get all of this time from to respond to everybody? But you have people online who it's just that they do.
And then the other thing too, guys, you're Jamaicans, and believe me, people are fascinated by that. A Jamaican wrote to them, a Jamaican is talking to them. Believe me, they're excited. Believe me.
You'd never believe. Fascinated.
Yeah. No, they don't. You see, I don't know what they think about us overseas, but then a university student from Jamaica is asking. I think they're
I remember when I wrote
the mind for them.
Yes, I remember when I wrote to Professor McKenna in Australia, and she quickly responded, and sent me instruments to use and articles to read.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They do.
Yeah. All right, guys. So take care. If you want to ask questions about your project, I'm going to stay online to answer those questions. Olivine, could you remind us when is the due date again? It is
I don't remember. I can look it up and put it in an email or something.
What I'm wondering, is there any group that is struggling with it?
There is not struggling, but I have a question about the philosophical framework. That's section there, sir. How is it that you want us to kind of flesh out that part?
It doesn't have to be long. Just talk about pragmatism.
Okay.
So pragmatism is a philosophy that drives mixed methods research. So all you have to do is identify that pragmatism is a philosophy that is linked to mixed methods research, and say what pragmatism is. So you could also say with pragmatism there is an ontology, an epistemology, a rhetoric, blah 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 blah, and you have that matrix already, right? So you could actually talk to it. Yeah, it's not a long thing. And then the theory would be based on what you're doing. So if you're doing leadership, it's a leadership theory. If you're doing engagement, it's an engagement theory. if you're doing employee satisfaction, it's an employee satisfaction theory or theories. So that is what that is asking you to talk about.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Yeah. Well, look at the mark allocation as well. To the best of my recollection, it's not a lot that is asking me. It's just to see that you identify that the philosophical underpinning is pragmatism.
All right, cool. Cool.
So why I'm asking the question though, even though I've just identified, so I think come next week I'm gonna start my people analytics course. But what I wanted to do was to kind of schedule a separate call just if people wanted to talk about the project. So next week, which is Tuesday, the 1st, I'm gonna be free. My people analytics course starts on the 8th. So if you guys want to schedule a call, you know, like from say 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock, just talk about the project, that's fine.
Yes, sir, that would be very good, even for an hour.
Yeah, so we could use the same Zoom link. Yeah.
I'll see if I can extend the link because it should expire today. So if anything, I'd send out a new one.
Yeah. So it's next week, Tuesday. What time are we talking about?
7 to 8 is good.
Okay.
So why not use the same 6?
Well, I will try and jump on from 6. I just need
so from 6 to 8 next week, Tuesday.
I'm gonna put it in my phone from now.
And somebody can remind me if they don't see me send something out tomorrow.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. In fact, UA class is in my phone up to. I set as repeat, so it's in my class. It's in my phone. Okay. All right. If anybody wants to stay on to ask more questions, fine.
Sir. Sir.
Yeah, man, I hear you.
I noticed the emphasis is on the articles, right?
Which one?
So we're getting more. The more the data is coming from the articles than really the text. I realize you're emphasizing it. So I'm picking up the data of mixed methods, the green article, and I know you like the linking mixed methods. Any other main article?
It's not what I like. It is what you have read and you have gained insights from. I like all of them, in fact.
Sorry, you're not making my life easier, you know.
No.
All right.
It is going to be, listen, this show is going to be about you. So think about you being on the stage and your family is coming to watch your performance. So it's going to be all about you. It's not what them like. It's going to be all about you. So think about the exam that way. So you also have the option and the flexibility to write what you have learned. It's just that you have to cite it, do your in-text citation and reference it. I've freely given you the option to write what you learned, what you have learned.
Yes, sir.
Mm-hmm. Yes, somebody else was chiming in.
Right, sir. So for the exam, for the mixed method article review, right? We'll be required to write 1 page and complete the checklist that you showed earlier.
Oh, no. So hold on, stick a pin. So you're gonna have to complete, read the article,
yes,
and
sir.
then the checklist to review the article. But as a separate item, you're gonna have to reflect on that process, and that is for the 1 page.
Okay.
Yeah. So there's an A part and a B part. The checklist and a reflection, kind of reflection on that.
Yes, sir. I'm not sure if you mentioned this earlier, but for the exam, you're not looking for a page limit or anything.
Oh. You can write even like a book and give me and I'll sit down and read it for you.
Sir, 3 pages good.
3 pages. Well, when you see it, it will not require you to write 3 pages. If you write 3 pages,
Okay.
with the feeling, because it says discuss, for example.
Yeah. Okay, sir.
You can discuss in 3 pages, and you can also articulate what you've learned in the course in terms of the content and the reading in 3 pages. So be careful, people. The other thing I'd say to you is that on the checklist, the article is very specific. So for example, if you say that the people did not use the correct citation and they did do it, there's not going to be any half or way in it. It's either them do it or them don't do it. Or either you see it or you don't see it. Right?
Okay, sir. Noted, noted.
So for
Will
the
not be
title,
getting 3 pages, sir.
so for the title, for example, it says, does the title directly indicate or sufficiently? So I read through the entire article, so I know whether or not the title has methodological components and stuff. So if you write no and the answer is yes, you're getting it wrong. Right? So what it means is that you guys have to read the article. Yes, and reading the article, it will help you to further understand mixed methods, right? So that's the intention. And for me, it's not really about the exam either, but it is about the continuation of learning and reflection on what you've done. So as I said, the reflective piece, it is really reflective, but asking you to bring in or to draw in content from the course, but it is really going to come from your heart, right? So it's an easy exam. It's an easy exam. It's all going to come from you, right? So unless you don't know about you, you shouldn't fail the course, all right? Any other questions? Tremaine?
Yes, sir.
How are you feeling? What's your emotion at this time?
Not sure.
Are you fearful?
Just one day at a time.
Are you fearful? Are you feeling angry at me, or are you happy?
As I said, sir, just one day at a time right now. So no real emotions now.
All right.
As you, something just came to my mind. A question. If
someday you'll have to, when you're doing your post-mortem, you know, you'll have to think about how you felt about it anyway. So I'm just preparing you from now that when you sit down someday and you're by yourself thinking, so why did I do this course though, God? And why did I have to go through that torture of research? You'll have to think about it. Yeah. So start thinking from now, okay?
I shall.
And encourage your friends to think as well.
I have a question, sir.
Yes.
A research where, for example, you do a portion of it, but in order to, for example, you're comparing, but to get a full understanding, you have to pause, right? And then let's say collect data like a year or two down the line.
Mm-hmm.
Would that be considered longitudinal or is it cross-sectional?
It is a longitudinal. You mentioned a year down the line.
Even though it's a pause and it's not continuous for the entire.
No, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because you are. What's the purpose of it though?
So let's say you implemented a program, and so you did some research, you found out some information, and from that you implemented a program, and then you're going back to do an analysis.
I'm glad you mentioned that because it is probably more an evaluative study. It's more evaluative in nature. So you implement and evaluating to see what has been the outcome. But there's a longitudinal element of it as well, because, well, the other thing I should say is that you could collect data cross-sectionally, meaning that you collect one-shot data. So a year could pass, but you go one shot, or you take a one-shot approach and collect data just one time to the evaluation, right? Or it could be a program that you're doing year on year on year. You're evaluating what is happening, which would make it longitudinal. Okay, thank you. It sounds evaluative to me, though, with an element of longitudinal involved. Yeah?
Clear.
Okay. So Tremaine, you are one of them who will see doing a PhD?
No, my good sir.
Well,
Well. At the moment, there's no interest there.
Okay. All right. All right. So we'll catch up next week for discussion around the project. Yeah.
Yes, I'll set something up for you guys tomorrow and send it out.
Okay. All right. Adios.
All right. Walk good, guys.
Yeah, and it was nice meeting you all, though not in person. Yeah.
Yeah, this year is unusual that way.
Very unusual. But it is what it is. But Olivine, today I was thinking of, by intentions, and I was saying to myself, I always thought, but the program is a face-to-face program, and what if I were to make a transition? And I said to myself, but here it is that I've done the entire program online.
Yes.
You just never know what the future holds,
You never do. But I remember when I had to do my methodology course for my study, my PhD, I deliberately chose to do it online. It was with Salisus because I thought to myself that I'd never done an online course before and I wanted that experience. So that helped me also for this year with the semester 2 last year and now this semester 1, because I could relate to what the students were saying. But as I said, all my learning over the years, I'd never done that before, and I deliberately chose to do it. So sometimes you must step out of your comfort zone because you feel that you'll learn something. I thought I would learn something.
Yeah.
It was just a new experience. But
for these students, yes, it is. But like for School of Education, there's a blend of courses or programs. So there are strictly online programs. So like I remember facilitating or co-facilitating one of the courses, research, and it was probably about 2 years ago. And the students were purely online students. So we had to grade online, we had to ask them to post, things online, and we go and read the things and make comments to them, and everything was really just online.
Well, as of Monday, we actually start the transition of this program, the MSc HRD, into an online thing. I have a meeting on Friday for us to learn the timetable, and we start on Monday. It's our Faculty of Social Sciences thing. They've asked several programs. They've asked several people to step forward. And of course, I step forward, on behalf of the HRD program. So we're trying to make this a proper online program.
I'll see what happens. Though I'm quote unquote, well, I wouldn't say School of Education's baby, but even though for this is probably, it could be the end of one sojourn, but I know if I ask them on the School of Education, they will say yes.
Yes, of course.
I know, you know, there are opportunities elsewhere that I'm thinking of and pursuing. So yeah.